Howdy y'all, welcome to Lex Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright, so I just leveled up a bunch of stuff. I am in need of a new axe, which is why I just leveled up stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and run out an axe. I'm out of clay, which sucks. I need more lumber, which is why I was working with the axe here. I could use some meat as well, so if I see any animals running around out through here, I'll probably give a go for those as well. I have plenty of vegetable stuff, so I'm not too worried about like corn and potatoes and whatnot. But as I am still in need of oh man, look at my health. As I am still in need of multiple rows for my garden, I figured I'd better get out here and do something about that. Don't I have a metal skinning knife at home? I should probably take that with me. And, yeah, I had a had a little gap here in work today, so I figured, hey, I'll jump on and do some work on my 7 Days to Die world while I have a few minutes. And right, metal knife, that's what I came for. Got distracted by that phone ringing. Was not important. No, I do not have a metal skinning knife. Interesting. Knife. Let's go ahead and make one of those too. I think you get more meat and stuff using the metal ones. I assume you do, or it's faster. Either way, it's beneficial. I can give it my old bone shiv here. But yeah, I did throw points into tools, weapons, armor, pummel peat, which is, you know, additional damage with your club. The minor 69er, which is additional damage against doorways. I guess the ground as well, maybe. I don't know how well that applies to, like, your axe. I don't know if that falls under the category of minor 69er or not. Ooh, look at that. I'm up to 2. Seriously, dude. There was nothing there. There was nothing there. I looked away for 2 seconds to equip a new axe. I got stunned. I couldn't get away. Man. Man. So, I finished reading it this weekend. Yeah, I forgot how much I really like that book. It has been a long time. Like, I remember, yeah, I like that book, but I forgot how much I like that book. It's a pretty good horror story. I forgot how much I like older Stephen King books. And it's been a while since I've read some of the older stuff. I'm not as big a fan of the newer stuff. Like, I love I love the Dark Tower series. So it's not all new stuff I'm not as big a fan of, but I don't know. It just it's like the dome, right? I liked parts of the dome. I did not like all of the dome. Some of it was really good. It was the ending I didn't like. And I've talked about this before, how a lot of times his endings just, it feels like he doesn't know what to do with them. And, but, it was not one of those. It had a good ending, and I really enjoyed it. I had forgotten quite a bit of what went down in the book, honestly. I remember bits and pieces. I've talked about before, when I read a book, I don't remember the entire book. Obviously, most people, almost all people, don't remember the entire book when they read a book. And so my memory makes more of a general outline of what went down. Maybe a couple of highlights of my favorite parts. And so we watched the It movie here a couple of weeks ago, and so I wanted to reread the book to compare the movie and the book, because I like to do that. When I find out a movie is based off a book, then I like to read the book and then watch the movie. Or vice versa. It doesn't really make a difference. Just so I can see what changes they've made and which I preferred. So having now finished the book and watched the movie movie's good. Movie is good. It's not exactly the same as the book, but I did enjoy the movie. I can see why they made some of the changes they made. Some things they left out, I'm kind of surprised they left out. There's a lot. I don't know. Maybe it was a time thing. I didn't actually check to see how long the It movie was. So, you know, I need clay, not dirt. Clay. So I forget if this stuff is clay. This is clay, right? Yeah. And, it'll be interesting. I hope the It movie did well enough to warrant a sequel. Because I would like to see the adult end of it go back. I guess if you've never read it, and are interested in the movie, spoilers, but the book, it is an interwoven tale of what happened in 1957, 58, and what happened in 1985. I think it's 1985. The book came out in like 1986, so it's a pretty old book at this point. And I mean, I guess it's not a pretty old book. You know, it's younger than I am, and but it's a book from the 80s. And so it's got a pretty interesting switch between the two. Actually, I was enjoying I guess the basic premise is there's a monster. It lives in a town, and every 27 years or so, it shows up and starts eating people. And this group of kids who actually faced it down in 1957. Have returned in 1984, 85, somewhere in there, to face it as adults. And so a good portion of the story is what happened in 1957. But it's all, each of those sections pretty much starts as a retelling from the point of view of the character, and so you'll get them talking about, you know, what they remember and how things went down and the rumors they'd heard related to it, and then in the sentence will just stop in the middle of the sentence, and you flip the page to the next page, and the next page is the event from the point of view of the child that's involved, you know, the younger version of themselves. And so I thought that was pretty cool. One of the things that I had forgotten was that they don't remember none of it. They don't remember any of it. They don't even remember each other exists, basically. And so I found that to be an interesting thing, phenomena, I guess. I need more frames. I do not need 500 more frames. Let's go with 200, though. And so that doesn't play heavily into the story. I mean, it's a major part of the story, but it's not like their memories were that important to the story. But it makes an interesting moments where, like, they don't remember, and so when they get a phone call, they almost don't remember the guy who calls them, there's 7 of them, and so they don't remember him at first when he calls. And so that's interesting to me. And so there's a lot of that in the story. Can I just reach? Yeah. Oh, wait. You know what? This is too high. Oh, you know what, dude? You're not playing Minecraft. You're not playing Minecraft. I held down the shift key to try and not fall off the edge. You know what? I'm just going to do this. Whoops. And, uh-oh. Well, that's a problem. Oh, I made it. And, so, like I said, most of the book is them sitting around talking about what they remember from the first time. And, because they don't remember, but the more they're in the town, the more it comes back. And it's magic. It's not because they've just forgotten over the 30 years since the first time. It's magic. They or maybe not magic, but it's forced upon them that they don't remember. And so you know, you got these adults sitting around, and they barely remember who each other are. They just remember that the other people are important. And then one by one they tell, like, the first time they faced off against it, and when they met each other, and you know what? You probably want to fill this in before you start placing blocks on top of it. And so it was really cool. And so then, as each of them remember, then the other ones will be like, "Oh, well, yeah, I remember that now," you know, kind of thing. And but I'd forgotten that at the end of it, once they finish the story, not the story, but as they finish the book, they lose their memories again, and this time it's going to be permanent. So like everything they do in the books, they're not going to remember. But yeah, it was an interesting thing with there's like two ancient beings that are I don't want to say they're fighting against each other, but like there's the other. That's actually a third being. The other, the thing that created it and its counterpart, the turtle. I don't know if they're counterparts though, but the turtle apparently created the universe, and it comes from outside the universe, maybe. It's hard to tell. It changes its story a lot. It's kind of like the Joker. If you know anything about the Joker, for the most part, nobody knows who the Joker is, and it's, well, you know, if you've seen the Batman movie, oh, I forget which one the Joker's in. It's in the second one. What's the second one called? Dark Knight Rises? Whatever. The one with Heath Ledger, where he gives a different reason for the scars on his face every time he tells the story. So the Joker's kind of like that. So it's kind of like that as well. And so it says a lot of things, which could partially, not all of them are probably true, but like for example, it gives a name for itself a couple of times, and which is an oddity. Not that it has a name, but that it calls itself Bob Gray. That's a little weird. Robert Gray. And why do I have a blank row in the middle here? What was that for? Corn, coffee, red and yellow drink. I think this is cotton. What were you? I don't recognize what this plant is. Do I have other seeds I could have been planting? I've got some yucca seeds. I've got some mushroom spores. Chrysanthemums planted. Goldenrod's planted. Potato, corn are planted. I planted cotton. Okay, so let's, these are already seeds. So we'll get that planted, and then I've never actually planted mushroom spores, so I don't know if they just plant on the dirt here. I don't know if they need something special. I'm gonna hope they just grow. Oh, they're... Well, it says it goes there. Really? Ah. Oh, they stopped moving. Ta-da! And yeah, I was really surprised to get to the end of the book and find that they don't remember each other. I totally forgotten that happens. A lot of it though is I did remember. Some of it I didn't. I didn't remember that I didn't remember like one of the characters, Bev. I didn't remember she had 2 encounters with her sink and it. The movie mixed them together, so I kind of remembered. I remember her having problems with the sink. I didn't remember they all came and cleaned it up though, which took place in the movie. But you know, it was just little stuff like that where they combine things, or a lot of the book takes place in this area called the Barrens, and which is like the drainage system for the town almost. And they play there a lot, and so it's like a river where the storm drains feed into, and the a lot of the book takes place there. And the dump. A lot of the book takes place in the dump, too. Not a lot. There's a few times they go to the dump, I guess. They only really have, like, one scene in the dump, but they go there a lot in the book. Like, 3 or 4 or 5 times. And, I don't really think any of that made it into the movie. I was really surprised by the lack of the Barrens in the movie, because a lot of the book takes place there when they were kids. And I kind of almost don't remember the movie at this point, and I think I need to go see it again, because I don't remember how the movie ended. And now that I've read the book and I know how the book ended, I need to go back and watch the movie. But I know, like, the first time they meet some of the kids is in the Barrens. Because it's not 7 of them to start with. It's like 3 of them are friends. And then they slowly amass the rest of the group. Man, I was hoping to find some animals running around out here. I could really use some meat so I could get some food going. Some deer or some boar, anything like that. Wolf. I think wolves drop meat, right? Not a bear. I don't think I could take a bear. Well, you know what? I do have some frames on me. I could take a bear. I could build my way up. Did you not make my knife that I told you to make? Did I not say make that? I feel like I told it to make that knife before, and I don't have it, so... Did that quit when I died? I don't think that's a thing, right? Is it? I don't know. You'd think I would know. I don't think that's a thing. I don't know why it didn't finish making my knife I told it to make. I know it added it to the queue, right? It's not... It's not in my inventory, so it obviously didn't happen. But yeah, I find it really weird that I can't remember how the movie ended. I know, I remember like Pennywise, which is one of the names for it, opened its mouth and showed him the deadlights, which is another thing that is very important in the book that they kind of don't talk about in the movie. And I think the turtle almost doesn't get mentioned, and that was a major part of the book. So there are some big changes between the movie and the book, but it's a streamlining thing, I think, and so I was okay with it. It didn't bother me too much, the changes that they made. I do think I'm gonna have to watch it again. Maybe I'll get a chance here. It just came to my local theater, so I won't have to drive as far. 6 miles versus 50. So, my local we show one movie at a time theater. Oh, good. Now it's foggy. That'll really help me find creatures to hunt. Seriously, where are all the wild animals? I need wild animals. Why does this always happen? I see dozens of wild animals when I'm not hunting for meat, but when I go hunting for meat, I can't find wild animals. It's like this game knows, like, you want meat. Well, too bad for you. I also kind of like the road to come back. Isn't there a road down here? Although it looks like I'm getting closer and closer to treasure that I have a map for. Maybe I'll go there instead. One of my favorite things in it and other Stephen King novels is when he touches on belief, or faith, or however you want to describe it, there's a lot of that in the book, and I'm like, oh yeah, right. That's why I like this book so much. I love this stuff. Not like religion, faith. Not that I'm against that. But the major thing that happens in it is that together these kids, with their belief in each other and how the world works, are able to tap into the magic or the power that is it, and shift reality enough that they're able to beat it. And same thing when they're adults. And so I really like that. I really like, like one-on-one they can't, but then they discover that when the more of them there are together, the more powerful they are together. And I like that. I like that. One of my favorite instances of belief, though, in Stephen King novels takes place in Salem's Lot, and it's one of my favorite moments in fiction of all fiction I've read, and that is, in fact, I can talk about two moments, two of my favorite moments of belief in fiction, and that's probably how I'll end my episode here. The first one, though, it comes from Stephen King, and that's Salem's Lot. Is if you've never read it, seen the movie, whatever, Salem's Lot is a Stephen King novel about a vampire who comes to a town called Jerusalem's Lot. and but the townspeople call it Salem's Lot. And so there's a moment in there where the local priest, who does not believe in God but is a priest because it's his job, confronts the vampire, and and so he has his crucifix and stuff, and he tries to use it against the vampire, and the vampire just looks at him like he's crazy, and he's like, "You have no belief in these artifacts. What power do you think they have over me?" And then he kills the priest because he doesn't believe. He doesn't believe there's power in the objects. He doesn't believe in God. And so there is no power in artifacts from God because there's no belief. One of my other all-time favorite moments in fiction is sort of belief related, maybe a changing in belief, and that's in Brandon Sanderson. I just started reading this book again because the sequel, well, the third book in the series is going to come out next month. But he's got a book called Way of Kings, and it's a fantasy sword and sorcery kind of novel. And but they're excellent. They're my favorite. He's my favorite author of the moment. Has been for years. But there's this guy, and he their society is their society has not racism, but classism in it, and so people in power have light-colored eyes, blues and greens and stuff like that, and people who are below them have dark-colored eyes, and so there's this kid, his father was a doctor. They have dark eyes. The local lord was a good lord, and had promised the doctor his son could have the part of the treasury of the whatever, the land the lord controls, to send him to medical school because the doctor's a great doctor and they believe the son could be an even greater doctor. And the old lord dies, and the new lord shows up, and he does not feel that a dark-eyed citizen, serf, they should waste any resources on them. And so he winds up, being betrayed by a light-eyed lord. And so then he goes to, he joins the military instead. I think his brother joins the military, and so he joins the military to help protect his brother. And then his brother gets killed, and so dark-eyed soldiers are used as fodder against light-eyed lords who have powerful weapons, like magic weapons and magic armor, and so he finds a bright-eyed lord that he believes in, and one of the things in the books is that there's a limited number of these magic armors and magic weapons. They're called shard blades and shard plate. And if you kill the person who owns the shard blade and shard plate, then they become yours. And so it's one of the ways that a dark-eyed person can become a bright-eyed lord, because once you bond with this stuff, the magic changes the color of your eyes, which is why they do this thing. And so why they have their classism, or whatever it's called, caste system maybe, and it's not quite a caste system though. So he, in defense of the Bright Eyes Lord, like the dude is about to kill the Bright Eyes Lord, and he manages to fight back and kill the Bright-Eyed Lord of the opposite army, saves him, and so all his men, who he's the leader of, cheer for him because they're excited that he's going to become a Bright-Eyed Lord, because they follow him because he's, you know, he's like the best commander they've ever had. And so then the Bright-Eyed Lord comes into the room and congratulates him on his armor, and he decides he doesn't want it and tells him to give the shard plate to one of his men and the shard blade to another of his men. And the Bright Eyes Lord has everyone killed in his battalion or whatever. It's not a battalion, it's a squad. And then brands him as a traitor and a slave, and sells him into slavery because he felt he owed him for saving his life, but he can't have him spreading the truth that he had an entire group of people killed so that he could have the shard plate and shard blade. And so once again, betrayed by a Bright Eyes Lord. And so he believed that there were no good Bright Eyes Lords, is the belief that he has. So then there's the good Bright Eyes Lord, who's one of the main characters. And so there's just this moment where he's been betrayed repeatedly over and over again by these people in charge, and he saves the life of this guy, and the guy, a Bright Eyes Lord, and the Bright Eyes Lord tells him he will free his people from slavery, him and his group from slavery, his new company, who are all slaves. And so for a moment he believes, and then when he goes to with the guy and they confront the guy who owns them as slaves, he offers them, I used to know this calculation in my head, but it's a ridiculous amount of money. Like, a slave is like, I want to say a slave was like $50, we'll say. And there's like 20 or 30 people in his group. And so at $50 for 30 people, right, you know, that's like, what, $1,500? He offers the guy $25,000. $250,000, $25,000, I think is what it is. It's not dollars though, because it's their magic system, and 25,000 would be like millions. And it's a fortune. It's like enough to buy a lordship practically, and for these men, and the guy refuses. And so this dude who's been betrayed repeatedly is like, yep, this is exactly what I expected. He's offered him a ridiculous amount of money, which is more than I expected him to do, but he's still not going to follow through on his word. And then the dude is like, well, you have your shard plate, and he pulls out his shard blade, and he's like, but you don't have a matching shard blade. I'll trade you this for the men. And slams his shard blade, which is a huge deal because there's a very small number of these things, into the ground. Oh, I love that moment. It's my favorite moment in those books. And offers it for the slave and his fellow people. Yeah. Belief. It's an awesome, awesome thing to weave into your stories. Alright, with that, I'm going to call it a day. So click like if you like, subscribe, be sure to catch the next one. I will talk to you later.